Welcome to episode 5, part 2 of the Off the Sidelines Property Podcast interview with Murray Kennedy from MK Real Estate.
I like that.
Yeah.
And Murray, we just didn't get from you, but markets that are sub 900 that people from the Sydney Southwest or people looking to buy in that pocket there around Narellan, have you got any names that readily come to mind in that 900 price range?
In terms of
just in terms of buying something that's decent, that's a house, 311. That's like, okay, yep, look in these areas, shortlist these areas.
yeah, for sure. So a good up to 900 now, like in terms of like where the value pockets would be.
Yeah.
I think you've got areas there that are going to. And this would probably be more for an investment side. I think for a first home buyer, my advice for any first home buyer is to do your research on all of the areas and slowly rule them out until you get to a handful of suburbs that if anything come up in there, you'd be happy to buy.
Yep.
Start with a big idea of everywhere that's in an area where you can afford, and you work your way inward until you can narrow down your preferred suburbs, because you're not buying there with. And some people still do, and I guess it's a small factor, but when you're a first home buyer, you want to buy for the home that's going to suit you because you're going to be there for a decent length of time. An investor's going to look at it different. In our area, I'd be looking at older parts of Narellan now as they're getting rezoned. I mean, what a great opportunity to get something. I mean, I've got one in Narellan now that's a 4-bedroom house for $850. It's got 2 driveways down both sides. It's already been pre-approved for a granny flat. It's a 600 and something metre block.
There you go.
I mean, and that's right in the belt there. You can walk down to the cinemas, you can walk down the shops, you can schools, all that great access. And then we're talking about the train line, and as greater infrastructure comes, that's the sort of pocket for an investor where I'd want to be, because with those older subdivisions, you've got a bit more land there. You can play with it. You can add value. You can do a granny flat. You can add an extension, where I think for a first home buyer up to 900 now, you're going to be just as influenced as to the way the area makes you feel. Does it feel like somewhere you want to come home to? Have you got the parks? Have you got the things there? Is it a sort of home you're going to have 1 or 2 kids in and use it like a stepping stone? A lot of guys are first home buyers that are buying on their own, or buying, as not a brand new couple, but, a couple of years old. They might be 20, 21. They might not necessarily be thinking with the family in mind. That might be a second or third home for them. But a lot of first home buyers now looking at starting a family, you want to just connect with that area first. And I think there's not a lot of advice an agent can give you there, because what someone's going to really vibe with, somebody else isn't. And that's the beauty of this whole thing, right? What's good for some, one man's trash, another man's treasure kind of thing, right? The variety of life. But for investments now, I'd be looking at anything that's got a bit of land that you can add value to down the track, because the way things are heading now is these granny flats, these secondary incomes that you can, these second income streams. We talked a bit earlier about side hustles and stuff like that, right? I mean, a granny flat now probably used to cost 100, 110,000. It might be 150 or something now, the way, materials and things have gone up. But
at the moment, like, we do a few granny flats for clients.
Yeah.
And they roughly cost anywhere from 160 to 180 for a 2-bedder.
Yeah,
and that's getting you $400 a week rent.
I was going to say, you're going to get about $400 a week rent.
And depreciation for 40 years.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new dwelling. It's money for change.
It really is. It really is. So that's where I think the savvy investor's looking at getting something that's. I think we need 500 meters in our area for those, and it's obviously it's got to be site to site whether you can do it. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. So your older parts of Narellan, most of Narellan Vale's got pretty good land. Mount Annan. And these are all great areas, by the way. I mean, these are just, your bread and butter stuff for families. It's just a cool place now, and it's thriving. There's so much happening in there now in these areas. Parts of Currans Hill, you've got good access there back to the M5 if you are going to go and travel, or if you are going to go to work. I think I'd be looking at getting a bit of land, and whether you can afford most people are going to buy up to that limit that we talked about where they can go to. But if you can buy something that, with the future in mind, that you can add value to at a later stage, you're not going to do the granny flat the day you move in. But, it might be a bad thing to think about.
Yeah, and once you pay the loan down, then you've got a bit of equity, and then you can go back to the bank and get a construction loan for the granny flat.
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah, exactly right.
You just need to get 20% of the granny flat. So say it's 180 example.
Yeah.
That's 36 grand. Once you get 36 grand equity, you just get a loan from the bank to do a construction loan for a granny flat.
And at $400 a week over 52 weeks, that's 20 grand there. So what, you're going to have it for 2 years before you can go back to the bank? Not that bad to do, is it?
That's it. Go get another loan and do a new one.
Not that bad to do. So that'd be my advice. But I think most of the areas that I service, the first time buyers have been coming out there in droves because it's the way that they've designed these areas. It's just tailor made for it. You don't have to go too far to get to the pools. You don't have to go too far to okay, we haven't got the beaches and these sort of things, but we've got everything else. We've got everything else for these families to come in, and it's just cool. It's cool to watch that change, and just see how popular it becomes. Right, all these people from other areas. It's been really, really cool to see. And you can probably work out I love a chat. So I get to talk to all these people as they come into the area and, say, oh, back, this used to be a two-way road. It used to swing around here and go around there. Now it's just a four-lane thing that goes straight down, and just talking about the changes to the area. Yeah. It is cool, yeah. It is cool. Yeah.
And what do you think the area's missing the most? If they could just have one thing or one attraction or something that would bring a lot more people, what do you think it's missing?
Well, I think they are doing it now. We got that second airport coming through out here now, and I think the main thing that they're doing well is improvements to the infrastructure, because that's a good thing about coming out a little bit further is the perception that it's a little bit quieter. But at the moment now we've got some roads that, as a result of 100 new families coming in each week, are a little more congested now, right? So that'll be somewhere that an area that they've got to improve is how they cater for these people. They've got a funny mentality. I think it's that old comment about build it and they will come. Well, when it's development, it's get them all here and we'll work out how to fit them here. We'll get them all in and we'll work out what to do next. So they'll sell these areas and get these buildings going, and suddenly there's 5,000 more people on the road on one corner, and you think, we might need 2 lanes here. It's funny how they do it that way. I don't really understand that. I mean, I relay that to my business. I mean, I could see the way things were going. I knew we were going to grow from 40, 50 sales a year to 150, 200 sales. The writing was on the wall. Everybody was coming out saying, what have you got to sell us in this area? So I put the staff on first. I got the 4 young boys out there door knocking, looking for houses, because I knew the buyers were coming. What I didn't have was houses to sell them. So I put the people in. I put the infrastructure there first because I needed that to get the houses, and that was a big reason as to how we grew and grew so well. But these new estates, they don't quite do it that way. Get them in and we'll work it out later.
I think they're starting to do a bit more, as you said, with the airport. Like if you go to Penrith now, it's a beautiful drive.
Yeah, isn't it cool? Yeah.
The Northern Road, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. We only done that the other day. I got asked to play in a hockey game out at Penrith, and I did terribly, but I was driving out there and I was just like, wow, this is, you're right.
It's a good drive, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, to get to Penrith now, it's 10 minutes quicker.
Is it? Yeah, right.
It used to take us 45 to 50.
Yeah, because you're out that way, aren't you? Yeah.
So it would take us 45, 50 because Mon works in Penrith sometimes.
That's right, yeah.
She teaches out there.
Just go out there, yeah.
So now it only takes 35 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then obviously it goes straight past the airport and things like that. So once all that's ready, it'll be 10 minutes to the airport.
Yeah, that's great. And you watch how much that changes how people invest in our area. It'll swing again more to investors because, I mean, anytime you get those things like those airports, there's all these other industries that take off and need workers, and you're going to bring more people into the area. But you're going to attract more investors there because anytime you've got greater access and anytime you make changes to industry and infrastructure and stuff, you normally find that area grows. You see all these links, highway links and then quite old suburbs suddenly go through the roof in price, right? You know, anytime you're adding greater access, you're making it more desirable for somebody to want to live in that area.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's an exciting time. I mean, this whole southwest corridor was it was a very quiet little place that was just too far. Why would you go out there? Why would you go out there? Now it's become very much on the map, and a lot of people in the last 5 years have done very, very well from their investments. And a lot of first home buyers that bought out there in the last 5 years have made $300,000-$500,000. It's been amazing watching that happen.
And even people that just bought like massive acres out there as well.
Yeah.
Like they've just been land banking for about 20 years, and then they just get a knock on the door from some big ass developer, some big wig, and then they're like, look, I want your house, I'll give you $20 million for it.
Yeah. Which never happened to me, sadly. I never was. I never had that foresight. But gosh, anybody around Rossmore, Bringelly, and
Leppington,
Austral,
You know, so
we were playing golf with a guy down at Raby the other day, and he come around and had a chat, and he's only a young guy, and he just said, "Yeah, look, we sold the family home. It was 20 acres." And he said, "What do you reckon I got for it?" I said, "Oh, it might have to be about 18, 19 million. Was it 20 acres or 15 acres? I said, it have to be nearly. Yeah. I said, is it all usable? Yeah. And it was just a tickle over $20 million for it. And
which is insane.
I said, what are you going to do with that? He said, I'm doing it. I'm playing golf.
Living the dream.
You know, I guess you don't have to do too much when you get to that. When something like that happens. But there's so much opportunity out our way, and I'm excited about first home buyers buying out in our area at the moment, because I just think you're going to get a few more properties to choose from than you have in the last 18 months. It's been a very, very, very tough buying period for first home buyers. It's always the same. Whenever it's good selling, it's tough buying. Whenever it's tough buying, it's good selling. There's no market where you're doing the same thing. And I think what we're going to find with buyers, which I'm looking forward to, is I think when you've got more, particularly from an agent's point of view, I know when I've got more things on the shelf, I'm going to make more sales.
Yeah, for sure.
I can have 50 buyers, but I can only sell this house once.
Yeah.
It'll be one of the 50 that get it. When I've got 50 houses, I've got 50 chances to make 50 sales, right? I mean, 50 chances to make a sale. So I don't mind these markets, but for a first home buyer, having a little bit more to choose from, and maybe just being able to take a breath and go, how did this compare to the one down the road? The one we saw on Thursday, is it better or worse? Call the agent, any offers in yet? No, not at the moment, but we might get, every agent will tell you there's an offer coming. They don't, they should.
Yeah. Real estate 101, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as they're being genuine. But anyway, if you haven't dealt with a real estate agent yet, guys, look out, all right? Give me a call first. I'll give you the rundown on the do's and don'ts.
That's right.
But they'll have more to choose from now, and I think that's great, because I can only imagine how many people have rushed into a home in the last 18 months that just wasn't or isn't, or becoming apparent that it's not the right property for them. We may have a lot more people holding properties as a result of what's happened in the last 2 years, a heck of a lot shorter than what you usually hold a stepping stone home for, which would be about 5 years. You normally wait to have 1 or 2 kids and go into a bigger house. There may be a lot of people now going, we've been here 12 months and it's just not right. But we had to get the one we could get. We couldn't, there was nothing on at the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, we've noticed as well, the first time buyers, they're sort of like deer in headlights when they walk into a house, and then you've got these people that are investors who are confident, and they're talking to the agents like very comfortably and going, what's this, what's that, and putting in offers. And then they're like little school children. They're too scared to put in offers, to talk, things like that. So it's a very volatile market, and there's a lot of hostility in there. So they're really scared. They're like not the alpha male in the jungle. They're actually the prey.
Yep.
So now there'll be more first home buyers and more opportunities. So they'll actually get more time to actually look at houses and not just walk in and go, I have to buy that one.
Man, what a good point. And you know what those timid buyers tend to do?
Miss out.
Yeah, well, ultimately, what they tend to do is they'll leave the open where it's all happening, and they'll write a really beautiful email, and they'll send it to you on Saturday night. But you sold it at 4:30, and it'll be this fantastically constructed email, and and what I've had to do as an agent with my crew, I mean, we're all linked up. I mean, I don't know if every agent does this, and they should if they're not, but all our phones link up. So I can see every buyer that goes to one of my staff's listings. But if the three of us are there, we're all there. 30 buyers come through. That's very hard for one agent to manage 30 buyers because it wouldn't be your only open that day. You might have 2 or 3 others. So you're going to meet 100 new people on a Saturday. You're not going to necessarily have that critical conversation with every single one of them. So my whole team get all linked up to the same app on our phone, and every buyer that comes through, we can see what's been said. Not for us, not thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing, and we can make a shortlist. So, not everybody gets that chance on that day to act, but those timid types of people have been left behind in this market because I think growing up you're taught that you play your cards close to your chest when you're dealing in business and you're dealing in finance, or you're dealing with money, or you're dealing with critical things. You keep your cards close to your chest, and we've had to sort of go out and say, well, if you don't, in the last 18 months, guys, I know you're first home buyers. It's a nervous period anyway, but if you don't tell me what you're thinking, I can't make it happen for you. I won't know. Don't ring me on Monday if there's 1 or 2 people here, great, call me next week. It'll most likely still be there, but a lot of these first home buyers, and I reckon they probably only made the mistake a couple of times because it didn't take too long to work out, holy smokes, there's 30, 40 groups here. I need to do something if I'm going to be a chance. But you're so right, man. Those not the alpha male ones in the jungle, so to speak. Yeah, they and you could physically see it, and you'd try and you know what? It's not easy to have a quiet conversation with somebody at an open home. You don't get that one-on-one time. So we're heading into a market now where people can probably make a little bit more of a calculated decision, but it'll have a caveat on that. The good stock still will be popular in every market if it's a well-priced listing in the right spot. It's always going to be popular. So buyers are just going to have to read the play so much more now.
Sure,
they're going to have to read the play, and that'll tell them which way to act and which way to go. Yeah.
And Murray, you made some very great and valid points there, and I know that some buyers are constructing these long ass emails and making it all presentable and that kind of stuff. But that's all time consuming, right? And it doesn't really get them that property.
No.
So what gets your attention? Like, is there like a one-liner or a sentence that's gonna put the the purchaser in the driver's seat and really get your attention? Like, let's say I walk into one of your open homes and I love this listing, for example, and it's ticking all of my boxes.
Yep.
And I want to do a first home buyer. I've got $950 to spend, for example.
Yep.
I want that property.
Yep. How would you tell me that's how would somebody look at buying?
Yeah.
So, really, really good question. Any advice I could give to a first home buyer is, you don't need to say much to a real estate agent as you're looking from property to property, but at the end of your inspection, tap them on the shoulder and say, look, this is the one for me. Can you make a note that I want to talk to you after? Because an agent should be looking at making a short list. All he's looking for is who are the buyers and who are not. That's his role at the open home. He's not going to be pointing out this room needs to be painted, this room. He's going to let you go and explore the property, right? The good agents leave the selling done to immediately after an inspection once somebody is interested, because you spend a lot of time trying to pin the tail on the donkey as a real estate agent, dealing with people who are the neighbour from down the road who aren't actually buying, all this sort of stuff. So you at the end of the open, or whenever you're ready as a buyer, my advice would be to come up, tap the agent on the shoulder and say, hey, we're interested in this. What should we do next? Because they're all going to have their own processes. He might say to you, okay, well, look, here's an app. I want everybody to put their offers in now. This is becoming popular. There's like a time sale kind of a scenario. I'm seeing agents using that now. Or he might say, look, I'm actually going to be talking to the vendor in the next half an hour. To be honest, there's been 4 groups here. If you're interested, this is what we're asking. What do you want to just get into that conversation with that agent as fast as you can, and make yourself known. So by doing that, the good agents are going to give you a call, because if there's 5 or 6 people that are interested in a house, and the good agents are going to want to talk to all of you, because their job's to get the most money that they can for the seller. The buyer doesn't pay. You guys might not know this, but a buyer doesn't pay an agent anything. They'll pay their conveyancer. They'll but they don't pay an agent anything. So the agent should be working for the seller. So you just want to make yourself known that you're one of those people that are interested. At that stage in the game, you probably don't need to tell him what you're pre-approved for. You may never, ever tell an agent that. You don't necessarily have to. But immediately, if you're buying there with your partner, you've gone and told the agent that you're interested. The very next thing you do in the car before you get to your next open, before you go to lunch, whatever you do before you go see your friends, is you say to each other, what's the most we're willing to go to on this property? That is the first conversation you'll have after you see a home that you like. You get to there, if you need to get to there, but have a plan of where you're going to go on that property, because once negotiations start to go, it can very quickly go from an area where you're comfortable to an area where you're not comfortable. And if you haven't had that conversation between you and your partner, you may be on the couch for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because your partner doesn't want to talk to you because you missed the one that you should have got. But I think a lot of people don't align their thoughts after that and have a plan as to where they're going to go to. And then as the offers start coming in, if you can, you don't necessarily have to get straight there straight away. But if you're going to go to if you're thinking a property's worth 920, 930 because you've done your homework, don't start at 870. The agent's not going to think you're serious. You know, there may be times where that can happen, but my advice to somebody would be go confidently with a reasonably strong offer to begin with, so that you get treated seriously. And this is only for properties that you want to buy. This isn't just for, trying to pick up a bargain. I can give you other advice for that stuff, but for first home buyers, definitely to get treated seriously, you've got to go strong. You've got to go, have that plan and have that chat of where you're going to go on it. And then if you can get it for anywhere under that conversation where you've drawn the line, great, good on you. So you've done fantastic. But the best thing that happens is if it goes over that limit that you both set, you gave it your best shot. You can't feel bad. You got to say to yourselves, well, you know what? We gave that property everything we could have given it. And you move together as a unit onto the next place and go together with the next plan. So that's probably the best advice I could give somebody. Yeah. And if the agent isn't calling you, ring him. Don't wait till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This is another thing. Don't wait for that agent to call you, because a lot of these agents are lazy agents. I mean, this is everybody's second career. This is not, nobody goes to high school and says, I can't wait to become a real estate agent. This is a lot of people get attracted to this industry for the wrong reasons. So they might be nice guys, they might be dressed well, they might be polite and smiling at the open, but how ethical, how hardworking, how diligent they are at the end. Do not rely on these people to do your work for you. If most agents I find work until the seller says yes and no more. Because when the seller says yes, they get paid. That's the job. If there's 3 other buyers still bidding and he's at the point where he gets paid, he might not ring the other 2 of you. Another $10,000 on the house might be $100 to him. When you've already made 10, 15,000, 15.1, 15.2 doesn't sound as bad as potentially losing a deal and losing the whole 15. So if you see it, you haven't heard from them from a few hours, quick text, hey mate, don't forget us, we're still here. Hey mate, where are the offers at? Where are we going? You got to do your own work there. Yeah.
100%. So you've got to be proactive and not reactive.
100%.
Especially in these markets.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. My main thing is just seeing what happens with these interest rates and seeing how people respond. But my gut feel is that there's going to be a few more homes coming on the market, which never hurts buyers, never hurts first home buyers. And now that you can go to 900, geez, that just opens up a lot more opportunities. I didn't realise that for 45 or 30, and stamp duty, that some of these guys can get into the market. I mean, that's fantastic.
That's the problem. Everyone says, "Oh, it's too hard. We can't do it." And then you're like, "Okay, so what can't you do?" And they're like, "Buy a house." And you're like, "Do you know all the benefits?" They're like, "Oh, well, I don't have 200 grand." It's like, well, you don't need 200 grand. Like, do some research. Speak to your local broker. Speak to your buyer's agent, real estate agent. Speak to someone with any advice that's done it. Speak to your local professional, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good. I think every first home buyer out there should even if you're aspiring to get into the market, don't be afraid to reach out to these guys and actually start a conversation, because if you can make your plans and fish upstream 12 months before you're ready to go, you know how much more confident you're going to be when you get into the market that you've done these things and you've gotten your head around it before you've gotten there. You know, I think that's part of it. Most people dig their well once they're thirsty. If you can do that beforehand, I think that confidence that you would take into buying, that's definitely, man, definitely, yeah.
Well, I think that was the problem with a lot of people. They were just, going out and getting pre-approved and then didn't even know what they wanted.
Yeah.
And the market's so quick. They're like, okay, I've got 900 grand example. It's like, what do I want for 900 grand? I don't know. Let me sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
But you've missed the boat.
You missed the boat, yeah.
You need to know what you have, get your approval, and spend, 3 to 6 months preparing beforehand.
Yeah.
It's not like a pair of sunnies. You don't just rock up to the surf shop and buy them. It's a bit more involved.
You can't just try them on. You can't just move into a house for 3 months and see if it's for you, right? No, I'll hand it back. This one doesn't fit.
Keep the receipt.
Keep the receipt, yeah.
3 months later, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. That's good. But our area is great. Our area's been really, really busy, and I must say the last 2 years has been completely hectic. But geez, it's been really rewarding, and it's taught me a lot about how best to look after people, and it's made me a much better listener than I used to be.
Nice. Your wife would be happy with that.
Oh, don't. Yeah, she's the next podcast. Yeah, get her and she'll tell you all about no. But it's been really, really cool just to see the growth in the area and see this area put on the map. So no, it's been good. I've got a wonderful career. I'm very, very grateful for for what I've been able to achieve and the people that recommend me, and these guys have all become friends. I mean, Daniel and I, we've been talking for years and years and years, and it's just these are the things that you create if you do a good job in these things. These guys become friends for life. They're not just your clients, and you're going to see them again. You're going to see them at the shops. You're going to see them at the town centre and all these things. And luckily I don't have to duck too much rotten vegetables and stuff when I'm walking by. Right, they're coming up saying g'day, and
right?
Yeah, that's right. For now. Yeah, cool guys.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So that wraps it up. So thank you very much, Murray, for joining us, mate. You've been a great guest, very insightful, great advice as well. So listeners, if you're looking to sell in that Narellan area, please give Murray a call, and we'll put his details in the description on whatever platform and podcast you're listening to this on.
And if you quote that you've been listening to this podcast, guys, and you get us out for an appraisal, you can have free marketing. How does that sound, eh? It's about $2.5 grand or $2 grand that'll save you. If you quote this and you're listening to this, I'd love to get you out here, because I'm really keen to see how mediums like this, just seems like a really, really cool thing. I've had a ball up here, and it's nice to see just trying out different ways to reach people and try and give people good information. And these guys are doing a wonderful job of that. So thanks very much for having me on, guys. And
Appreciate it, Murray.
Enjoy your afternoon. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Awesome.
you.